Hello, and welcome to the Wayward Skein. This is episode 45, 5 more till I hit 50. It is Monday evening, Monday, June 10th, as I have to look down at my calendar to figure out what day it is. And so, yeah, I had intended to record yesterday, but I didn't get around to it, so the schedule is going to be a little wonky for the next couple of weeks. I'm going to be recording next Monday, because we're driving to Chicago on Sunday, and then the following week I'm going to be recording on Sunday because we're driving home on Monday. So be patient with me, and please bear with me while I get all this sorted out. Sorry, I'm apparently squeaking a little bit because the chair is resting up against the air conditioner. I hope that's not too noisy for you guys. So it's been a crazy week. We had my nephew's 9th birthday party yesterday, and that was a whole lot of excitement and noise, and wow. He had a blast, and his sister, not so much. The smallest one was not in a good mood. She was tired, and she was cranky, and this kid doesn't nap, so she stayed tired and cranky. The other one wanted to go swimming, and we weren't letting her because the water was really, really cold. And nobody wanted to go in with her, and they're not allowed to swim without an adult. So, yeah, she was not pleased that we weren't letting her swim, but there we are. Other than that, I haven't gotten a whole heck of a lot done. I did get to stop by Holly's house last night. Hi, Holly. She doesn't actually watch the podcast. That's fine. We're face-to-face friends, not podcast friends. So, I went by because she had some tea for me that she had bought that she wasn't crazy about, and I was like, I won't say no. Unfortunately, I left it in the car, so I can't even show you what it is. Tonight's tea is, sorry, you're going to be seeing the backside of my Epsiode mug. It's still very hot because I just made it, but it is a very delicious green tea. It is mint chip sundae from David's Tea. I bought that last year. It has, oh good God, it's white on light green. This is really hard to read, guys. Cocoa nibs, green tea, peppermint, white chocolate, which has a bunch of things in it. Cocoa powder, stevia extract, natural flavoring, contains milk and soy. So there we go. It is a junk food tea. It is delicious. It's chocolate peppermint. So I very much enjoy this one. But I'm going to have to wait for it to cool just a little bit more. What? No, you can't yell at me from over there. If you want attention, you have to come over here. She's sitting almost halfway between me and my son, and she wants somebody to come pet her, but she doesn't want to have to get up because she's a lazy butt. So, I did get quite a lot of knitting progress this week. I was actually kind of surprised with myself. First thing I managed was I got my first mitered square done for my new blanket. Yeah, that's the right side. I mean, it doesn't really matter. They look the same on either side, but that's the right side. This is actually Rob's last pair of socks. This is Gnome spun. Puka base in the Brave colorway. I'm going to need to wash the living daylights out of it because poor Rob has washed his socks 8 times and the dye is still running. It's this particular shade of red that is so saturated. I've never had a problem with gnome spun yarns before. It is really this particular shade of red that is so saturated and so rich that the dye just keeps going. No, you can come up here. But I'm not helping you. Or you could just sit behind me and whine. That works too. So I did get the first square done in my mitered square blanket, and I will wash the square before I add more yarn to it. What? Jump up. You're perfectly capable. So that was goal number 1 that I succeeded. Goal number, see, there we go. Now you get a cat butt in the picture. You know they can't see you there. Okay, we'll move this over so they can see you. There. Are you happy? Your adoring public can see you now. So I did manage to get a pattern repeat done every day except yesterday and I really should have, didn't even look at my show notes, didn't write anything down. Are you going to let me get my notebook? Yes, you are. And there is my notes. So hopefully that didn't just stop the recording, because I just knocked a whole bunch of stuff on the ground. This is the branching out. That's the right side. It is the branching out scarf by Susan Lawrence. It really does pull up in the middle, but that's fine. It'll block out. I'm really loving the way that this yarn is playing with the pattern. It's super easy. It's very intuitive. I'm down to, I think, my last pattern repeat on the first ball, so the scarf is going to be this times 3, and it doesn't have a whole lot of stretch to it because it is bamboo. This is a 97% bamboo, 3% nylon yarn. It is Barocca Bonsai in colorway 4149, which is green. And I'm doing it on 5mm needles, which are US 8, in my carbons, circulars, and I'm really loving how this is knitting up. I had never knit with ribbon yarn before. There's a trick to it. You can't hold on to it too tightly while you're knitting it. You have to sort of let it glide through your fingers, because otherwise, the way this yarn is made is a little bit weird. Because, I don't know if you guys can see. I'm going to try to hold it flat. I don't know if you guys can see, but it's a nylon thread wrapped around the bamboo base. The bamboo is the long flat part like a linguine noodle, and the nylon is just wrapped around that. So if you hold it too tight, the nylon thread kind of bunches up, and you end up with a whole bunch of it in one spot and none of the bamboo. So it's a little tricky. It was a little bit of a learning curve, but I've got the hang of it, and I'm really enjoying it. So my goal is to continue apace with this. Sorry, it's really warm in here. I'm not sure if I'm going to try and get through the second ball. Probably not, because Rob is arriving on Thursday, and Sunday we are driving back down to Chicago, my son and he and I. So I'm probably not going to really. She's so temperamental. I'm probably not going to have a lot of knitting time. Do you want to know why she got down? It's because I'm talking. It's because I'm not just sitting here quietly with her sitting on my shoulder. She's annoyed because I'm talking. So anyway, I'm probably not going to get a lot of knitting time, and I don't think this is one of the projects I'm going to bring with me. Sorry, this is the back side. This is the right side. It's so pretty. I'm anticipating that this will become sort of like a fashion statement scarf, like an accessory scarf, not a warm scarf, because it is bamboo. That's my plan for it anyway. We'll see how that goes. But I'm really loving knitting with this yarn, and I'm really happy I have three more colorways. I have orange, which also has three balls. I have a black with a blue metallic thread running around it. That is just gorgeous, and I think I have 6 balls of that, and then there's a brown one that I have 5 balls of. So I've got a lot of this stuff, and I'm very happy about it, because I'm pretty sure it's discontinued. It's in my stash. Duh. So that's my branching out. It is in Knitty's Spring 2005 issue, so if you want to go check it out, it is a freebie, and super, super intuitive to knit, and I'm very much enjoying it. Sorry. I don't know why I thought I had that in a book. But no, it's a oh, because I copied down the chart so that I could just knit without having to look on the internet. So I met my goal there, because I should have been recording yesterday, so yesterday I would have had one every day. I also have just started, and it's all bunched up, so you're not going to be able to see very well. But I just started the gusset decreases on the sock after having turned the heel. Heel flap is done. I actually finished the heel flap at my mom's yesterday. Turned the heel last night while watching Netflix, and now I've started the gusset decreases. I didn't get any knitting time on the bus this morning because, and this blows my mind, I walk with a cane when I take the bus because although I can walk okay, standing still or standing in one spot when I'm being jostled around is extremely painful for me, and I actually managed to dislocate one of my kneecaps sometime around December, January from being jostled around on the bus. So I walk with a cane now to take the bus so that I can sit because I have garbage joints and I would rather not damage them any more than they already are. It was actually my physiotherapist who was like, and why don't you have some kind of accommodations if you can sit on the bus? Why have you not taken care of that? And I was like, well, I don't know. I just kind of felt that it would be weird if I don't need it to walk. And he's like, no. You need it so that you don't injure yourself more, so you don't have to, well, okay, I will have to keep going to see him anyway. And it was actually kind of funny last week. I go see him on Thursdays. And last week I actually dislocated these two fingers here. I dislocated this one at the base, and I dislocated this one in the middle joint, which was super painful and really hard to get back into place. I don't know if I'd popped my wrist out of place or what had happened, but it was super painful to even move it, and my son had to like yank on it, and while I twisted my arm to try and get it back into its spot. It's nothing new. It's that happens fairly frequently. So I was telling the physio about this because he was like, well, what do you want me to work on this week? And my knees were fine and my shoulder was okay. And I was like, well, you know what? This happened. And I'm still having problems with my middle finger. It's still not quite right. There we go. I got the first one. But anyway, so he was playing with my hands for the first time ever. And he's like, what is holding your fingers? And my pinky, he was just like, what on earth is holding that to the rest of your hand? So he was pretty fascinated by the whole thing. And he played with both my hands for like a good 20 minutes, just going, that's not supposed to do that. Because I do have pretty hyperextensive hypermobility in my hands, and I can do all kinds of things you're not supposed to be able to do with joints and things like that. And the fact that, I can just, bend my hands and I can get my hand to do this on its own, which apparently is not normal. You're not supposed to be able to almost touch your thumb joint and pinky joint together on your own. So anyway, he was playing with my hands, and yeah, he was just like, what is holding your pinky on? So I was like, yeah, it sometimes makes knitting challenging because if I'm not being careful, I can actually pop my fingers out of joint just knitting. So I have to be a little bit careful. But yeah, so my hands are a little bit sore this week. That was a non sequitur. So these are Rob's newest pair of socks. They are my standard 3x2 rib, which is based on Sock Recipe, A Good Plain Sock by Stephanie Pearl McPhee. This lovely yarn, and it is absolutely gorgeous, and I'm very much enjoying knitting with it, is Fiber Stash Strong Toes in the ink colorway. It's a denim-y sort of jeans looking thing, and it's actually got the little faded bits and everything, so it really is turning out looking like denim. I'm loving it. It's gorgeous to knit with. It's so soft and squishy, and the stitch definition is fabulous. Anyway, I'm very much enjoying knitting with it. I had purchased this at New Hampshire Sheep and Wool a few weeks ago. And it is being knit on 2.5 millimeter needles, which are US 1.5. It lives in my little unicorn squad bag. Whoop, that slide. Unicorn squad bag that Mandy Pinecone made me. And I'm using my little Hanukkah needle keeper that she made me as well. So that was goal number 3 that I managed to meet. So I'm pretty happy about that. And I only have one more knitting project to show you guys, and I really should have taken my crap off of it before I start recording, but there we are. The pattern was sitting on top of it, and my other knitting project was sitting on top of it. So I have made more progress. You can actually see the pattern a lot better now. I've made more progress on the lace chuppah. It is growing. I was going to switch it to the larger needles to show you guys a little bit more easily, but I can't find the larger needles. We had our massive cleaning last week, and they got put away, and I'm not sure where. So I will find them. They are lying around somewhere, but I'm not quite sure exactly where right this second. Sorry, I just saw a little. So this is the Lace Chuppah by Cat Coil. It is in the summer 2007 issue of Interweave magazine. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous, huge shawl pattern, basically. It's going to make a large square or round shawl, I'm not sure. I think it's a square. And my goal was to get to the halfway point on the first chart, and I did that. Well, I got halfway through the rows. Obviously, the second half is going to take a lot longer to knit because the rows are getting longer and longer and longer every round. So I did manage to make it to the halfway point on the chart. I'm pretty happy. I had to redo the last 3 rows because I'd screwed something up, and I had screwed it up like 2 rows previous, so I had to take back for 3 rows. And but that's okay because I had a good Netflix series on and I was enjoying it. So this is knit out of Bartlett Yarns 2-ply, which is by no means a soft yarn. This is extremely rustic. It is scratchy, it has vegetable matter, it has guard hairs. It's a very rustic yarn. It is a 100% wool. It's not fancy wool. It's not soft wool, and it has a bit of a smell to it. I'm trying to figure out what the smell is. It's probably lanolin, because while it is extremely scritchy, it's not bad to knit with. It's not bothering my hands at all, and it's actually, I'm really enjoying knitting with it. So I very much appreciate this stuff. I bought it at Rhinebeck. Bartlett Yarns always has a large booth at Rhinebeck, and Rhinebeck a year and a half ago, I had picked up 6 skeins of this, thinking to myself somehow that 2,000 skeins was 6 skeins at 220 yards. My math skills were not the greatest that year, so I had to go back last year and buy 4 more. So I did, and now I am knitting, and I'm very much enjoying the pattern. It's very straightforward, very easy to follow. Very well written as well. I'm really enjoying the way the chart is laid out. I've been using, for both the projects that I'm currently knitting with charts, I've been using my Ann Budd ruler. Ann Budd, there you go, you can see it there. It's her gauge ruler. Basically, there's a whole bunch of different gauges printed on it, and it also has a ruler down the one side, and it's got instructions for how to use it, etc., etc. So we got this from Anne a couple of years ago, and I've been using it to sort of mark my place in the pattern as I go. And it's useful. It's very useful. I can follow along on charts while I'm watching Netflix, and it's super fun. If you're Canadian, if you've ever tried Laura Secord French mince, that's what that tastes like. It is delicious. So nice. And I'm actually starting to cool off a little bit because I opened the window just before I started recording, so it was super hot in here, but it's starting to cool down. It's also almost 8 p.m., so the sun is not down, but on its way. So that's all the knitting that I have to show you guys. This actually lives in my yarn bowl because it doesn't leave the house. It's too complicated. I need to follow the chart every second line, so I can't take it to knit anywhere else. The scarf has also been living here because, again, chart. And so far, the mitered square blanket is living here. We'll have to see what happens with that. I'm going to have to find a place for it to live. Last week, I kind of wanted to show this to you guys, and I didn't. So in my very, very fluffy, because the cats have been having a blast with it, Doctor Who bag that was made for me by Brandy Miller, who has Eat My Yarns, I found my second Find Your Fade. I found it. So I have not succeeded in finding the pattern. I'm in the midst of fading between two colors. I've got these two guys that I'm fading between. So I'm a little peeved with myself because I misplaced the pattern and I can't figure out where I am until I find the pattern. And it's not in my Librarian Ravelry. I believe I bought a paper copy of it somewhere. I don't know. I got nothing. I can't find it. It's not in my library, and it's not in my Google Drive, which is where I keep backups of my patterns that I have in my library, so so that I can access them elsewhere. I don't know. No idea where it went. So it is on hold still, and I've knit myself into it as I'm pulling my hair out of the yarn. I have knit a little bit of myself into the shawl. There's some me. Come on. There we go. There's some more. Sorry. I'm letting myself be distracted by hair. Come on. You. Yes, because you really need to see me pulling my hair out of the shawl. So this is going to go back into rotation as soon as I locate the pattern. I do have my whole fade planned out. It's in a bin up on top of the shelf next to me. And it is living in this gorgeous bag that Brandy made me, which I love. So that's all my knitting. Reading, I'm continuing apace with this piece of garbage. I'm enjoying it less than I was because basically I don't like the writer's writing style. I don't like his choice of words for a lot of things. I don't like the way he describes things. I find his writing style to be very irritating. It is Deadly Whispers by Ted Schwartz. And it's a true crime story about a man named Tom Bonney who murdered his daughter and then claimed multiple personalities. I'm assuming he gets off with an insanity plea, but I haven't got that far yet. I'm a little over halfway through the book. I'm not enjoying it, but I'm going to try and force myself to finish it anyway. I'm not sure why exactly, but I am going to try and finish it. I do have a couple of books I want to read coming up. Just yesterday I picked up a book by Booker T. Washington. I don't remember the name of it now. It's one that I definitely want to read. I want to pick up the Barack Obama book that I had started previously, The Audacity of Hope. I didn't get very far with it because I got involved with something else and just kind of misplaced it. I've since found it and want to start reading it again, but I think I also need a little bit of fiction fluff palette cleanser stuff, so we'll see what I pick up. I have hundreds of books in my house that I have not yet read, so I can easily find something to pick up and read. So that's my goal. I'm going to keep plugging away at this. I may finish it next week while I'm in Chicago. We'll see. I will be talking to you guys before that happens, though, because we are not leaving. Oh, no, I will be in Chicago when I talk to you next. But I won't have had a whole heck of a lot of reading time. Basically, my assignments while I'm in Chicago are to help Rob paint the bedrooms, do a few renovations to the bathroom and possibly the kitchen, and fill his freezer. He has asked for spaghetti sauce, seafood pasta sauce, and perhaps a chili. We shall have to see. So screen-wise, I have been very much enjoying the Chef's Table series on Netflix. I was actually in the waiting room at my doctor's office. I brought my son in for an appointment. And I was sitting in the waiting room and they had it on the TV. And I was watching this going, so as soon as I got home, I started watching it. And I'm not all the way through it yet, but it's like there's only 6 or 7 episodes. I think I'm on episode 6 right now, so we'll see. I don't know that they're not numbered, so it's hard to tell. But I am very much enjoying this series, more so than watching Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat. mainly because it's following so many different people. Each episode is about one chef and how they became a chef, what they do, what's special about them, their origin, so on and so forth. And it's kind of amazing. I'm really, really enjoying it. So right now we are in Barcelona with Albert Avia, I think. I have his last name wrong, but it's Albert somebody. And he was the guy who basically came up with molecular cooking, modern molecular cooking. And he came up with it and sort of pioneered the movement. It's fascinating stuff. It's not how I would cook at all, but it's fascinating stuff. So I had a bit of a bug today, and I mean, not an idea, but I had sort of a little obsession today. I was thinking to myself about, if I had a garden, what I would be planting, and so on and so forth. And I actually spent my lunch hour poring over a seed website and a nursery website and planning all the stuff I wanted to plant and so on. I don't know what the hell possessed me, but I think maybe it's the fact that my neighbor has been planting his garden. We actually live in 2 condo buildings that share one parking lot. The other building doesn't have the same owner as us, and their owner is apparently happy to let the old guy who acts as a caretaker for the grounds to basically plant himself a garden in the backyard. Last year I asked my landlady if she would let me do that, and she said no. So I don't get a little patch of dirt just yet. But, it's one of those things that's really been, I've been wanting one for so long, and there are so many different things that I want to try, and, I want all these, berry bushes and dwarf fruit trees, and I want to try all these vegetables, and so it was sort of like, this is where my brain was today, and I can't do container gardening within the house. I tried it several years ago. I have one cat who will eat all the plants the second they pop out of the ground, and the other cat will knock over anything that has dirt in it to play in it. So I can't have plants in the house. What can you do, right? The cats were here first. So for the time being, I cannot plant things, but I did today transplant a philodendron that had been left behind by an ex-coworker. She went off on maternity leave and just never came back. And I had rescued one of her plants from certain doom. When she left, she didn't ask anybody to water her plants. And her boss didn't realize they were real. So he just kind of ignored them. And one of them was crispy by the time I realized it. Philodendrons are harder to kill. I don't know what the crispy one was. I couldn't even identify it by the time I realized that they were real plants and nobody was watering them. So I rescued the philodendron, and it was looking awful for months. And finally I decided to just cut it down to the ends of the vines that actually still had live leaves on them. And I put them in water, and they rooted beautifully, because philodendrons are impossible to kill. And they've been wanting transplanting for about a month and a half now, so I finally did that today. I bought a flower pot at the dollar store. I bought a little bag of dirt, and off I went. And so now I have this lovely little plant at work. I had a couple other plants, but not sure exactly what happened. But one day I came in and it was gone. Pot and everything, just gone. Somebody had stolen my plant. And a few weeks later, my coworker came in and somebody had stolen her plant out of her office. So we have a plant thief running around the office, which is a little bit weird. But what can you do? So I'm hoping that my philodendron sticks around because I really love it. I've had one before, but I had to leave that one behind when I left that job because it had been given to me by my boss, who had received it as a gift 30 years before from an ambassador from somewhere or other. So I figured that the plant at the time was older than me and had lived its entire life in that building, and I figured it would be kind of cruel to take it away. So I gave it to another coworker when I left. So good. So tasty. Loves me some chocolate mint. So other than the Chef's Table, I've also been watching, well, I blitzed through all of the Jeopardy that was available on Netflix Canada. I came to a starting realization. I started to look for The Handmaid's Tale because I loved that book and I really wanted to watch the series, and Netflix Canada doesn't seem to have it. I'm not sure what's going on, but apparently we don't have it. So I've been unable to locate that. I'm a little peeved because, you know, it's a Canadian book by a Canadian author. What the hell? But there we are. I'm going to continue trying to find sources for it, so we'll see what happens. And I have not watched any podcasts in a little while, but I have been keeping up with Sarah, who is steeped in books, and her BookTube channel, and I've been enjoying that. There has not been a lot of podcasting lately, mainly Knit Girls and Must Love Yarn. I haven't seen a whole heck of a lot else come up. Sam from Hand Me My Knitting did record an episode a few weeks ago, and you should go check that out. I think there was another Ninja Chickens episode. I don't really remember a whole heck of a lot of podcasts popping by. Nobody's podcasting right now, so well, okay, a lot of people are not podcasting right now. Some are, obviously. So that's about it. That's what I've watched. I likely will not have a whole heck of a lot of TV time when I go to Chicago because I'm going to be working hard. We'll see how that goes. Rob's friends are actually coming up from Chicago on Thursday. They're flying up. He's taking the train to Syracuse, so I actually have to drive down to Syracuse to get him. So his friends are actually coming to tour the city, and we're going to play tour guide, and it'll be super fun. He's going to have to take them to a museum or two on Saturday afternoon while I'm working, but that's okay. So that's about it. I don't really have much else to talk to you guys about. So I will say goodbye and wish you guys a fantastic week, and wish me luck on the very, very long drive to Chicago. And I will see you guys next week. And as always, please be kind to one another. Bye.